Hey everyone, welcome to this video. Today we're going to be talking about how to get started with machine learning. Now what I've done is I put together a bunch of material. I've scoured the internet and found the best material to help you get started. So let me talk about some of the reasons why, who, what, why, when, where you would want to get into machine learning. I hope this is going to be a great resource for you. If you're advanced, you can stick around. It's going to be pretty high level and hopefully it'll be give you some good ideas on what you can do to refresh new topics in the matter. So first of all, why machine learning? Why would I want to get into this? It's a hot buzzword. What is it about? Why would I want to get into this? So firstly, it's one of the top skills that's being used for data scientists. One of the things you could do is you could use this to apply, you can use machine learning to contribute to the field of artificial intelligence. So for example, you can build your own robot, maybe make some machine learning with a robot. More practical, other than getting a job, is there's a lot of machine learning in app recommenders. So for example, Netflix, Amazon, Google, either they are recommending products or movies or even ads are being recommended for you, and this is all done from machine learning. Machine learning is also in other fields of discipline. So for example, let's take a look at this here. I found this great infographic about how it branches into artificial intelligence. So for example, it also can be applied in other fields such as computer vision and natural language processing. So machine learning can be applied in those fields. So for example, in computer vision, you can use it for image recognition and detecting either pictures of people, pictures of things in nature, those type of things, and you can detect those in computer vision. It's also used in autonomous cars and drones, so those are technology and narrow AI that's really picking up in the field. And then next is natural language processing, which is really picking up in smart speakers. So you have Alexa and Google and Siri are all being widely used in our daily lives. So I made another video that I can link up in the cards of how to create your own Amazon Alexa skill. So this is a great way, but you can also, there's some machine learning that can be applied in this space. And then lastly is the neural networks and the deep networks. This is actually a subset of machine learning. Machine learning is a little more broad, but with the advance of computing and data, neural networks have really taken a huge leap and now are very popular in the field, and it's a subset of machine learning. More things you should know, for example, what skills I'm going to need. This is a question I get a lot. So four big skills that you should know, and there's equally weighted, in my opinion, they're all important. So in no particular order, you're going to need to know statistics. And you don't have to know these in depth to get started. You can just go and have some fun with some projects, but eventually you're going to want to study these if you want to get really, really deep. Second is Python. Again, you don't need to be a master in Python, but you can definitely find a lot of the algorithms and syntax already available. You just got to know why and what you're doing, and then you can go find the Python to build it for you. And then third is business. So you have to know what is the problem you're trying to solve, and then the reasoning behind that problem. Otherwise, you're just solutioning and you don't really have any motivation as to why you're doing it. And then lastly is the communication and visualization of those results. If you have a prediction and you can give that to somebody and communicate it in a way that makes sense without them doing all the analysis, and they take action on that, that is the end result that you want to happen. So a couple more questions. One is, how long does it take to learn machine learning? There's good and bad news here. The bad news is it is a mastery. It's a lifelong journey. You can spend your entire life in this career field. So the short answer is 10,000 plus hours if you want to get really, really good at it. The good news is you can make a huge impact in a short amount of time in a year. And one of the studies that I've heard is if you read 3 books about a topic, you know more than 95% of the population. If you spend a few hours a day for the next year, you are going to be further ahead than most. Okay, so here's some tips on how to study. Find your motivation why. And I talked a little bit earlier about all the reasons that you contribute, but really it comes down to the doing. Find some projects that you like and even try to teach it, because you retain 90% of your knowledge by teaching. About 50-60% of your knowledge by doing, and only about 10 or 20% by reading. So it's important to do all of them, But if you can motivate to teach on YouTube or in a meetup, those are great ideas. So going on to the next point is the who, and it's really good if you find a friend. So if you remember back in college days, you would work on projects and you would share it with them. If you do this on your own, you're going to lose motivation because you have no one to share it with and help you stay excited. The next one is a what. So I would recommend looking at a broad view, yes, but also trying to pick a discipline. So for example, machine learning, that will help you stay a little bit more focused instead of jumping around a lot. It's okay to do that some, but also something that you dedicate and get into a flow state that you can dedicate your time. So pick a discipline. And once you pick that discipline, then it's moving on to the how. And the how is, what does the structure look like? Now, most of us on the internet, we can self-teach and we study on our own, which is really great. It's also so good to have a roadmap. That way you can see the beginning and the end. So you know where you're going and you can kind of see the steps in there. That way you can keep somewhat of a path. It's okay to take journeys and do some research and find another project because you're going to go up this mountain and at some point you're going to get tired. So it's okay to take detours, learn about something and come back. It's just it's a winding journey. And again, take the long-term approach. If you want a short-term approach, you can do that. You'll probably get burned out more quickly. Okay, what I've done is put together my favorite resources of learning ML, especially in the first 3 months. And then once you get past 3 months, then you're really off to the races. So think of it as kind of like a boot camp. It's your own boot camp. So first of all, my favorite is the 100-day ML code challenge. I believe it's still a work in progress because it's actually only 54 days, but I'm going to give you a quick demo of what that looks like, see if you like it. Maybe you have more suggestions, add to the video. I'd love to hear, maybe other people would hear what you like to learn about it. The next one is by a really good, he's out there, Suraj Raval. He's a big YouTuber out there in AI. He created a 3-month course. He has a ton of great video content. He also has mixed in a lot of free Udacity, Coursera, edX content, and he structured it in order in a way that is really helpful and useful. So congrats to him. I want to share that and add that here. And the next one is machine learning project ideas. So if you're familiar with Kaggle, Kaggle is a great place to get machine learning topics. However, what I've found is they are rather large and they can take a lot of motivation to get through one. So if you don't have someone to work on with, then it can be difficult. So if you're just starting, it's easier to get some smaller projects under your belt and get some more confidence. I really like this GitHub page. It gives a ton of awesome ideas. So he has broken it down into tech, natural language processing, forecasting, and recommenders and vision. So he put it in categories. He's put a whole compilation of over 30 ideas. I really like it. And in fact, if you like YouTube, he's got one in here that I'm looking at doing called the YouTube recommended for tag. So it's this YouTube 8 data set. And if you participate, let me know, but this looks like a really fun project to get started on. All right, let's keep going. The next one is the essence of linear algebra. So you're definitely going to need to get into math eventually. It's unavoidable. So here's a YouTube channel of a guy that does excellent visuals. He is able to explain concepts like a neural network with video that it would take days to grasp. He can do it in a matter of minutes. He's a talented teacher. So this is a great video series. The next two are video series that have been released by universities. Andrew Ng was part of Google Brain and now he's an adjunct professor at Stanford, and he's created 112 videos of machine learning that's pretty recent and relevant, and he's considered one of the well-known in the industry. So how awesome is it that he's given this out for free? And the next one is by a professor at MIT. He's a really enthusiastic teacher and he's able to teach what is really hard or some dry content for some. He's able to bring life to it. So those are a summary of my favorite resources. I will link this GitHub repository in the description. Why don't I give you a short preview of what the 100-day challenge looks like so you can kind of get an idea of what you'll be getting into. Okay, so here's his GitHub project. You can scroll down and you can see he's got excellent infographics and he's stepped it out really very nicely. And if you really like the project, he's even asked you can contribute to it as well. What is great about it is he gives you data sets and code examples. So for the first day, you're going to build a foundation. Basically what most data scientists do is, they're going to import libraries such as pandas, NumPy. Then you're going to import that data set, and then you're going to fill in missing values, so not a number, for example, and you're going to use a mean to fill in the missing values. So these are pretty common steps. and then encoding the data with scikit-learn. That's another data set that you're going to import. Then split the data into training and test, so 80-20. This is a common way that you'll train model in machine learning. And then feature scaling. So you'll see you'll do this a lot repetitive over and over. Look at day one, and he's giving you the example. So here, step 1, 2, 3, 4. You can use this code, paste it over into your IDE of choice, and run it. So here's the import, here's the data set. Now if you're not familiar with Python, a really good way to learn is, if you're not quite sure what it means, just go and look. So for example, iloc, what does iloc do? So this is where you take a little side route, go look at iloc, see what it does, and then come back and say, oh yeah, I understand that a little better. So this is a 1-day activity. Spend 2-3 hours on this activity. So here, another one, find out what this module does, scikit-learn pre-processing. Basically, you're going to start importing missing values in with the mean. Okay, so then here's encoder. So we're going to encode it and creating a dummy variable. Here's another one that you can search, one hot encoder, really common module. Now here's what we're going to split the data set and turn it into test and train, and then do our feature scaling. Okay, so that's the first day. All right, so the next day we're going to start getting into some of the basics of statistics. So for example, linear regression. I won't go through this, you can go through it, spend the time to read it, but he's done a great job of summarizing what it is. So for example, here's what the linear regression is, and then here's the steps. So similar steps to what we did. Data pre-processing, fitting, predicting, and visualizing. Ideally, you'll get a chart and you can visualize your results and you can see how well you did. All right, let's go on to the next day. So you just keep building on this. So you had simple linear regression, now you have multiple linear regression. And it gives you keywords that you can go search for and find out a little bit more. And then here again is more code. So importing, encoding, splitting data sets, so all familiar, right? You're starting to build this foundation. Multiple linear regression. So here now you're going to use this model. And then prediction. And you can be a little creative. Now you can also visualize this. You can use code from the other project, add it into this project. Maybe you want to visualize it. So next one is logistic regression. This is very popular. If you've been into it, you know that this one is a very common one. So this uses the sigmoid function, plotting basically between 0 and 1. And there's a bunch of content out there to learn about sigmoid function. You could spend a week, you can go at your own pace, or you can just get a brief summary of it, try to fit as much as you in for the day. Here's the short project. Have a data set, import some libraries, import your data, split again, test and train, do your feature scaling, then start using your model, the linear model. You're actually applying it. Then predicting, making a model matrix, and visualizing. So as you can see, here's the step through. That's pretty much the basics of it. So I would encourage you just to make this a discipline, 2-3 hours, or however much time you can fit in a day if you're really serious about it, even if you do a small amount of time. And look at the whole curriculum, see if it's something that you're going to be interested in. And if it's not, then maybe try another one. Maybe you want to do natural language processing, maybe you want to do another one. This is a really good roadmap for you to use. Let me know what you think. Have you used this resource, or do you have other resources that you'd like to share? Maybe you've done a project, share your project. I would love to hear from you. Maybe create a video of your own. All right, I'll see you in the next machine learning video. So long.